So let's start with taking a look at those new replays. This is new replay number 1 on Melting Valley, and I have no idea when I played these games exactly, but pretty much a few weeks ago. So all of these replays are from Battle.net, and I have no idea why when I start a replay I always get the visual of the opponent. It makes no sense since I'm the human player. The visual should be mine, since I'm the one who saved the replay, but nope. It looks like I'm forced to see the game through the screen, through the layout of the undead race, which doesn't really make sense. But by the way, I'm the human player here, obviously. And the colors is obviously set into ally color mode, so it should be only blue and red, which is the colors that I use to allow proper vision during the game. And really I got used to that, so I don't like to play with normal colors anymore, as I found them confusing. Especially when colors are similar, and especially when you're playing mirror and you are like the yellow night elf against the orange night elf. It's really annoying, so it's much better to put it in ally color mode, so you can be sure that you're microing the proper unit.
Job's done.
So let's turn off
Ready to work.
some tabs.
Job's done. Ready for action.
Okay, so
All right,
starting with a Mountain King, obviously, as I always do against undead.
ready for action.
Always do when I expand, actually. When I don't expand and I play a rifle push, I don't go Mountain King, because obviously you want to go Archmage when you're playing rifle push for the water elementals. Some people like to play Paladin and rifles. I don't like it because you lack the mana regeneration that the Brilliance Aura provides. So Paladin would be good if you could have endless mana, but because you are playing a freaking Paladin first with no Archmage support, then I find it useless, since even though Holy Light is only 65 mana, so you can spam a lot of Holy Lights, and if you get like a Mantle of Intelligence, you can have some additional mana, but still you don't have mana regeneration unless you're playing it on a map where you're extremely lucky and you find like a Sobi Mask or a Pendant of Energy, which increases your mana pool. I just think that Archmage is better. So as you can see, I'm getting defend here, and I'm calling the militia to properly creep this camp without taking too much damage. Even though I should hire the Shadow Priest earlier to absorb and mitigate the damage with the healing. I don't... okay, I'm supply stuck, so I can't hire it because I don't have the supply. I'm 29 out of 30. So I'm missing one farm, and that's why I can't hire the Shadow Priest. So I'm letting my footman die on purpose so I can purchase the Shadow Priest, which at this stage of the game is gonna be more useful to me than a footman.
Job's done.
I don't know what the undead is doing, but it's not showing. It's probably creeping. Let's take a look at it. Now he's playing a Dreadlord and he's sitting at base at level 1. That's bad. He's going for an expansion with like 4 ghouls. But at this stage of the game I had no idea what the undead was doing, because honestly I don't care on this map whether the undead goes Death Knight or Dreadlord or even Cryptlord. I don't care. No one goes really goes Lich first against human on Battle.net. I don't really care what the undead is doing. I just want to get my level 3 and start the expansion. Mountain King got some useless items like Slipper of Agility, absolutely useless on the Mountain King. While the Wand of Mana Stealing could be nice, especially against Dreadlord. If you can drain some mana and use it on the Mountain King, it's nice. But of course the problem with Dreadlord is that if he puts you to sleep before you can bolt, then all the power of the Mountain King is gone. That's why if I knew that the opponent was going Dreadlord, I would definitely play an Archmage. Because Archmage is good. Even if you put the Archmage to sleep, you still have Water Elementals. And when you're level 3, it doesn't matter if the Archmage is sleeping or not, because you still summon the Water Elementals, and the Water Elementals will still do a lot of damage to those ghouls. So I think that Dreadlord is basically only good against Mountain King. You have to be aggressive, you have to harass the expansion. This undead is not doing anything, he's letting me expand freely. Because he's setting his own expansion, which I'm not scouting. I should scout this. And he's only level 2, so it's not really scary. He's got this tier 2. He's got a pit here for the shade. I forgot the name. The shade. Okay, for the shade, and maybe for Frostworms later on. So I have all the time in the world to go and get my level 4, which I won't get on this camp, but this camp will get me closer to level 4, which is pretty much a useless level. I mean, what do you get on level 4? Not much. Bash level 2, since I'm skilling Bash and not Clap on this game. But still, level 4 is important because it's one step further towards the very key level 5. What I could be doing at this point is I could be pressuring his base. That's what I should do actually. But because I have only 4 5-footmen, I'm not going there. Because I'm assuming he's towering. There's a lot of people on Battle.net, they make spirit towers, so then when you go for harass their base, you see a lot of tower, you waste a lot of time for nothing. And I feel like there's more value in getting this camp, since there's no pressure whatsoever. Because he's not pressuring me, he's not doing anything to my expansion, there's no reason for me to pressure him. While if he was trying to apply some kind of pressure, then it would be of value to get a Zeppelin and distract him by forcing him to town portal to defend his base.
Job's done.
Like a distraction push, but here there's no threat at this point of the game, so I know that it's probably getting an expansion or attacking to worms or stuff like that. I don't know why I left those boots there.
Job's done. I can't build there.
I'm getting more and more towers because the last thing that I want is... Okay, I'm getting my boots back. The last thing that I want is for him to jump in with like 5-6 destroyers.
Job's done.
Because it could be anything, right? I didn't see his army at this point, so... I'm just doing the standard units that I always do against undead. I know that if I can get tier 3 units with full upgrades, I'm gonna destroy pretty much whatever the undead has. Providing that I have a counter for the ground army and the air army as well. So
Job's done.
if you can get something like Knight Gyros, that's a good army. Or Knights Gryphons.
Research complete.
So now I'm scouting his expansion,
Upgrade complete.
which doesn't have any towers, so very big mistake.
Job's done.
And he unsummons it. So I don't know what is he doing really. I'm not selecting particular replays. I just saved all the replays of decent games that I did, and I have like a lot of them, so I don't remember this game at all, and I don't even remember the next games that I'm gonna cast. But looks like this guy is a beginner. Ah, okay, no. Yeah. He's just doing some weird strategy. That's why he's being away from computer. Because he's trying to go for a timing strategy. He's trying to go for mass meat wagons, necromancers. And that's why he's not even creeping. He doesn't have the army to creep. He just wants to jump into my base and kill everything with necromancers. That's a weird strategy that some people do on Battle.net, and I will show you how easily you can counter this with this replay. That's one of the easiest things to counter. The only mistake that you need not to do is not go in tier 3, but as you can see I was already planning to go Gryphons.
Your command.
So, and Knights of course. I just have the right counter for this type of stuff that he's got. But anything really at this point, even if I didn't go Gryphons, I would have gone like double workshop into
Our forces are under attack.
mass gyrocopters. With 3 upgrades I would still beat that type of army. But Gryphons is definitely better for sniping those meat wagons very fast, and because keep in mind those necromancers with full upgrades will still do a lot of damage to your air unit, so it's not like you will snipe a lot of units for free. Those mass skeletons will still do a lot of damage, but because he's being essentially AFK, because he's not creeping at all, because his hero is so low level,
Job's done.
he doesn't stand a chance against a level 5 Mountain King and a level... Okay, only level 1 Blood Mage, but by the time we fight I suppose I'm gonna be at least 2. But the Blood Mage doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just there to feed mana to the Mountain King, okay? I could as well play this this game with solo Mountain King and nothing, absolutely nothing would change. The only reason the Blood Mage is there is to soak up the mana from the what's the name? From the Dreadlord, and to transfer it to the Mountain King. That's the only reason why I'm even making a Blood Mage at this point, because as you can see, I'm not gonna be able to creep him to a high level realistically. Knights are 2-1, Gryphons are 2-0. I don't know why I'm going for this camp. It's a bit greedy, because I don't really have the army to do this camp. Gryphons don't attack the golems, because the golems are immune to magic. They're basically immune to anything. The only thing that hits those golems is the normal damage of knights, the piercing damage of rifles, and the damage of heroes, and footmen of course, but footmen can't stand a chance against the granite golem level 9, not even against the rock golems. They take a lot of damage. So I lost a knight essentially here to creep this camp. Because I don't have staff, I think it's still worth it. It gets my blood mage to almost level 2.5. I have a lot of Gryphons right now. I don't know if I have the... Okay, so yes, I did research the health upgrade, which is very important. If you go Gryphons, always remember to research the upgrade for Knights and Gryphons. It will give you more HP to both those units. That's why it's so good to go Knights and Gryphons, because first of all they share the attack upgrade. So if you are upgrading the attack for Gryphons, you're also upgrading the attack for the Knights. So that is of value. Second, they share the upgrade for the increased hit points. And third, it's just a good combo, because you have Knights are so strong on the ground, and then you have... They do a lot of damage to everything that's on the ground, included the heroes. And then you have Gryphons, which do even more damage. And if you combine that with the level 3 Stormbolt, that's just too much for the undead usually. There's no reason to stay 81 food, and that's why I'm getting rid of these peasants, so I can stay at 80 food and mine properly. I have like 3 knights and like 6 Gryphons. Oh, and there's a paladin, which is a very nice addition to get some healing for my heroes. And as you can see, he's pushing me now. And if this came like 5 minutes earlier, it could have been a very scary push, but because it comes right now, even if he's got 5 of those meat wagons, it doesn't look good for him. However, I need to town portal because the damage against the castle is insane. Masonry is only level 1, it's not like I have level 3. So I need to get rid of those wagons immediately. I'm not gonna underestimate his army, even though his hero sucks essentially, he's level 3. And he doesn't stand a chance really. And gets absolutely destroyed, but you see that I'm losing some units as well. Not too much, because my hero levels are overwhelming, my army is overwhelming, but you can see, he still has a lot of skeletons. And my army still dropped from 80 food to 60 food, so... This type of army is very annoying to fight if you don't have priests with this spell. But this push arrives way too late. And so that was very easy for me to defend it. staffing my hero back to get some health regeneration. Yeah, and I think at this point the game is essentially over. The only thing I need to do is to regroup, get back my 80-foot army, and then destroy everything that's on the field essentially.
It's hammer time.
In the meanwhile, I got my third attack upgrade, which makes my Gryphons even stronger. I believe I have the multiple hammers, of course. That's another upgrade. Here's the thing with Gryphons. Gryphons are awesome, especially against Orc, but they require a lot of upgrades. That's why you can't really play them one base. Because if you want to be effective with Gryphons, you need to have at least double attack upgrade. You want to have the health and the increased health upgrade, and you want to have the multiple hammer upgrade. You want to have all of the upgrades. So if you don't have gold, if you don't have wood, you can't get 8 or 10 Gryphons with full upgrades. I used to play this strategy against human. It works very well. Maybe it's gonna be one of the next replays where I play one base Gryphons with upgrades. But I always have to make a lot of economic choices to save up the gold to be able to research those upgrades, because it's extremely costly. And then you have to value every single Gryphon. Okay, you can see this this Dreadlord just doesn't stand a chance. Yeah, he just executed this strategy very bad, to be honest. He overextended with towers. He didn't need all of these towers. I don't know why he made all of those towers. He just needed his push to come faster and hit faster before I had all of those Gryphons, and then maybe you could have had a chance. And also I should have crept more. But I mean, I don't really care about what he should do, because I always focus on my own game, not on what my opponent is doing. So I only base my results upon what I'm doing. So I followed my plan, I got my expansion, he did nothing to delay it or do damage, and so that was a very easy game for me. So let's get into replay number 2 right now. On Tartar Rock against Orcs, so it's gonna be a completely different game from the one we just saw. Orc. Oh, okay. I'm gonna be the orc. I'm not versus orc. I am the orc. Okay. That's confusing to me, because normally I play human, but sometimes I do play orc. Sometimes I do play night elf. So very rarely play undead. I mostly play human, night elf, and orc on ladder. Pretty much never play random. Even though it could be nice to try random sometimes, because essentially you got the advantage on Battle.net where you get those big maps like Norwood, which I don't veto because I want to veto other maps, essentially all the maps that don't have tower. I like to veto them when I play Night Elf. When I play human, I don't really need to veto them, because when I play human I never get a Tavern hero. But to make it short, sometimes I just cannot veto Norwood because I have some other maps to veto.
Ready to work. Work complete.
So to get back to the thing that I was talking about, the reason that playing random is such an advantage on maps like Nullwood is because you force the opponent to do an extra scout that the opponent doesn't really want to do. So just imagine you're on a 6 players map, which means that there are 6 different starting points and you have to scout them all. And if you don't, you literally have no idea what you're up against. In other words, your opponent could be Orc, could be Night Elf, could be any race. You have no idea, you don't know what to do. And you're forced to scout and you're forced to use 2 valuable wisps or 2 valuable peasants, which will most likely fall to the creeps, at least one of them, because you have to micro them both. And while you're microing those peasants to make sure they don't fall to the creeps, you're losing time that you could use to micro and to macro build things in your base. So that's very annoying. Rally points don't really work because even if you use shift, if you use shift and tell the peasant to go and scout that place, you have to make sure it doesn't aggro the creep, and if you don't aggro the creep, you will place it too far. In other words, there's no way to there's no easy way, at least, to send those peasants to scout without doing that manually, without using APM. Maybe there's a way to use shift and send a command just once and send the peon in a place where we can have vision without triggering aggro, but I've never tried to do that. It seems too elaborate. And that's why Nullwood is not really a good 1 versus 1 map. While on Targarok, if you scout 2 places, you only need to scout 3, okay? To know the race of your opponent. So your opponent still has an advantage, but at least you don't need to invest into double wisp scouting. So in this game I'm starting with a Farseer and I'm just creeping here, which is not, doesn't happen very fast if you only have a Farseer. Because I'm against human, and when I'm against human I don't even make grunts. Because on Battle.net you can afford to do that, no one's gonna pressure my base. And even if they do pressure with Footman, it's very likely that the human's gonna have defend, and I'm gonna just repair those burrows and try to hold with my Farseer until I get tired too. Because I want all my gold to go into extremely fast Wyverns. I don't want to waste any resources into building barracks and then grunts, which is extremely costly. If I build barracks, it's gonna be 180 gold plus 200 gold for 1 grunt, which is not gonna do much for me. I can creep without it. As you can see, I do have plenty of resources to go immediately for double bestiary. And I don't know what my game plan was exactly, but I think I'm gonna try to creep my TC to level 2 and then I'm gonna go for the aggression immediately, because with Wyverns you need to go for timing attacks. Otherwise they lose value in time. Pretty much as soon as the Archmage hits level 3 and gets the level 2 water elementals, Wyverns become useless into a fight, because you have to think that 2 water elementals will basically own 4 Wyverns or even 5 Wyverns, because Wyverns don't do any damage to water elementals and they take bonus damage from them. So it's crazy how fast Wyverns fall against those water elementals. And quill beasts as well. I just won a game today by playing the Beastmaster Mass Huntresses against Orc, and the Orc was going Bloodlust and Wyverns, and those Wyverns just vanished to my level 2 quill beasts. And I believe my quill beast was even level 3 at some point, so those Wyverns would die even faster. With water elementals it's essentially the same. We can compare the damage of the water elemental and the quill beast against the wyvern. It's basically the same. Which I'm not saying that the attack type is the same. What I'm saying, I don't know about that. What I'm saying is that the result is always the same, which means you can't fight the quill beast with wyverns and you can't fight water elementals with wyverns because it's a lost fight. So the only thing you can do with wyverns is you can kite and snipe units one by one, avoid a straight up fight. And you have to essentially play like an undead. Run, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run. Which is what the undead do abusing the unholy aura. You gotta do it with the wyverns. Because you always have your, so to speak, unholy aura. Because you got the endurance aura with the TC, so you got additional speed, movement speed. So because I'm not going for any type of aggression, I suppose that my goal here was to just out-creep him and reach a critical mass of wyvern before attacking. Which is very risky because if the human scouts my wyverns and goes Dragonos fast, then I can't really fight anymore. Like, if the humans got level 3 Archmage, I cannot take a straight up fight, but I can still kite. But if the human gets Dragonos, then I cannot even kite, I can't do anything. Because he's gonna shackle all of my wyverns, so... I would be more aggressive here. But it's just that this map is too tempting. There are all of those items. Look at his inventory. Greater Healing, Invul, Scroll of the Beast. That's some amazing items. Like a Scroll of the Beast. On the wyverns, it's insanely good. Because it's very unlikely that the humans got enough priests to dispel that. I mean, a very good player would do that, but on Battle.net it's not realistic. Usually Battle.net players won't even have the time to click the spell, because I'm gonna snipe those priests in like 1 second. So Scroll of the Beast, definitely a decent item here, even though I would have preferred Mana Potion or a big Invul. So that's definitely a very good inventory for the TC, which is, by the way, level 3. Farseer is level 4, and now I'm breaking upkeep. And I'm going for the Spirit Lodge. And I have no idea what the human is doing. This is a very atypical game, actually. Like, even though anything really works on Battle.net, like normally you engage with the human at some point before, and you have to do damage into his base. Okay, so he's going Pitlord. What the hell is that? Ah, he's got an expansion, okay. Now I'm switching to his vision. So that's the reason why he was so passive, because he's going for an expansion. which I didn't scout on purpose, I believe, because I was like, okay, if he lets me play, I'm just gonna mess Wyverns, script the entire map, and even if he's got the expansion, by the time I'm like level 4-4, it doesn't stand a chance. Because he didn't even scout my base, and since he didn't even scout my base, I know that it's very unlikely that he's reacting with Dragonos, so there's no need to do anything different than what I was planning to do, which means creeping all the map. So at this point I'm confident that my hero levels will carry this game for me.
Research complete. We're under attack. Work complete.
Another great item, because TC is a strength hero, so benefits greatly from Belt of Giant Strength. You can see his damage just got increased by 5 points, and of course his HP increases as well, so this TC is extremely strong, plus 23 damage. And the TC is a hero that levels up very well, so at level 1 it sucks, much more than a Blade Master, but when it's level 4, level 5 is insanely strong. Even a level 3 is decent. And again, double red camp. As I always say, if you get both red camps, it's GG usually. But he's got an expansion, and I don't. So somehow I have to end up this game quickly. Because even if I have better hero levels, I can't drag a long game without an expansion. And he's got mass rifles, so I can't allow him to get even more of those rifles. Because he's got the perfect counter for what I have. And these would work if he had decent hero levels. The only reason I'm able to take a fight here and I'm not running away is because I'm trusting my hero levels, okay? If I was up against same hero levels, I would never take this fight. I would just try to do some hit and run and get my own expansion, something else, not this. Okay, the only reason I'm so cocky and confident to take this fight is because his Pitlord is level 1 and his Mountain King is barely level 3. Otherwise I would never take this fight. You can see how much damage my Wyverns are taking. Now I have to move them, because I literally don't see anything because of that rain of fire, so I reposition and I snipe his footmen one by one, but first I have to focus the rifles. The TC is gonna take care of anything that's on the ground. Now it's the turn of the Pitlord, which tries to run away, but not sure if he will make it, and he doesn't. TC level 5. Of course I researched the Envenomed Spears, which is essential. If you're playing a strategy that focuses on Wyvern, you want to have those upgrades. Mountain King doesn't stand a chance, tries to run away, but I don't think he will. And now I just have to get a big heal scroll.
Our town is under attack. Fire.
While the Tartars are trying to knock down my base. Fools! Go away, you fools! You don't stand a chance. .30 upgrades, by the way, purely focusing on damage and totally ignoring the armor. Because I don't believe researching armor upgrades makes such a big difference in Wyverns, so I just don't really upgrade normally.
Our town is under attack. Storm, earth, and fire. Heed my call.
So while this push was not designed to win the game, this other push is, because I got 4 shamans, double level 5 on my heroes. I should at this point buy a tiny great hole and place it here, just because there is no reason not to. And maybe I'm doing that. Okay, yep. That's why. That's exactly what I'm doing. Even though I could finish this game without the expansion, because my army is just superior. My hero levels are superior. There's no reason not to get an expansion, just in case I lose units to towers or stuff like that. Plus my gold mine is about to run dry, so it's just a good choice, the right thing to do to go for the expansion.
Work complete.
And keep pressuring. Wyvern falls instantly, because these towers have a lot of Mesory upgrade. They got double Mesory upgrade, and so they get a lot of HP. And as you can see, you can never give the human too much time, because now he's got a decent amount of gyros, which is not enough, by the way, not barely, but the tanks are. And so while I can certainly fight the gyros, I cannot fight the tanks. But I want to get that Mountain King before moving my Wyverns. I feel like it's worth losing 2 or 3 Wyverns to get the Mountain King, because once he doesn't have, I mean, without heroes you can't do anything on Warcraft 3, okay? I got my own expansion, so I can just rebuild those Wyverns. You won't get any experience, or not too much experience, because by the time, I mean, the Mountain King is down, so he won't get any experience of the Mountain King. He would get some experience on the Pitlord if some Wyverns fall after the Mountain King falls, but the Pitlord is only level 1, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm almost level 6 on both of my heroes. And once I hit level 6 on the Tauren Chieftain, anytime the Tauren Chieftain dies, he will be resurrected with full mana and full HP. Maybe not full mana, I'm not sure if it gets resurrected with half mana or full mana, but you will have a lot of mana. It's a very good spell. It's not like a Tavern Rebuy when you pay a lot of gold to revive your hero and then it comes back with 0 mana and half HP. That's just pathetic, really. Like, this is a legit ultimate. If you can make sure that your hero doesn't die immediately after the resurrection, then it is a very good ultimate. Especially when your enemy focuses all of his energy to take that Tauren Chieftain down and then he just resurrects with plenty of mana and kills everything that's on the ground.
Research complete.
So you can see this guy is trying his best to towering up. Again, he's got a decent amount of tanks. Okay, it's always the same too, I believe. However, he's able to take down my Wyverns pretty easily, so that's why I'm switching to Raiders. As you can see, Wyverns don't do anything for me anymore, and I just need something against those tanks, and Raiders is the answer. You can see Ensnare is also helping me to snipe his hero. Nice stomp. Pitlord down. One of the big mistakes you can do in Warcraft 3 is being stubborn and wanting to finish the game with a particular set of unit just because you're lazy and you don't want to change. If you see the Wyverns don't work anymore, you gotta be fast at switching. Level 6 on the Tauren. I should have switched to Raiders immediately after I saw the first tanks. Because at this point it doesn't have the resources to make another tech switch. So if I see he's going mass tanks, he's going a few tanks, I can just assume it's gonna be mass tanks and gyros and I can make mass raiders. Because at this point the damage output comes also from my heroes, so if I can pull off a few ensnares and lock down those heroes, then my heroes will finish the job. I don't know if I have pillage at this point, but it doesn't really matter, because this game is so over. And I don't know why he's not leaving. Let's move forward.
Our town is under attack.
Okay, he's going for the final stand here. So, final fight into his base. He's got a few tanks on the back. He's switching to knights, which is nice against the raiders, but again, his heroes suck. I have no idea what this Pitlord was for. It did nothing into this game. Absolutely nothing. Cheeky Mountain King is trying to fight in the middle, but doesn't stand a chance. It's being half level hard. Mountain King falls. Pitlord. Okay. So the Rain of Fire is doing some damage to the casters, but that's it. Just brings me back to 50 food, which means I'm gonna get even more gold, while he's not getting any gold whatsoever because his expansion is down. Pitlord gets focused and snared, forced to town portal. It's gonna fall with the next ensnare and focus fire combination. Is sending, okay, gyrocopters here. I thought it was sending tanks. In the meanwhile, I'm expanding again just because I can. Catching a hill scroll probably. And of course I didn't mention that Khadgar's pipe is doing a good job regenerating my mana here, which is very nice since the Orc army doesn't have a hero like Archmage with the Brilliance aura. So Khadgar's pipe is one of those dream items that you can get for your Shadow Hunter or even for the Farseer and TC. Even the Blade Master. I mean, all of the heroes of Orc are reliant on mana, so it's always a good item. Like, only Night Elves which have the Demon Hunter, which doesn't really need mana unless you're using it for the ultimate. In that case, Khadgar Pipe is a pretty bad item, but More and more snares on the tanks. Again, this game was over like 5 minutes ago. Maybe even more. And I don't know why he's staying here. I'm not even microing my raiders anymore. Because it doesn't matter, I'm just A-moving into everything. And he leaves. GG.